Savage Rap, thank you for being with me. I appreciate the tremendous response that we have had here at the Savage team for these more or less daily summaries of the news and the Friday wrap up of the week. As you can hear in the background, the metronome is running. What's not running in America anymore is the Bell of Liberty. The Bell of Liberty has been silenced by a madman in the White House. Now, hold on now. I know the country's divided, but I could care less. Let me tell you why I just said a madman in the White House, or do you need to know? What president in your memory has gone out of his way to meddle in a foreign election so nakedly as Joe Biden just did in Israel? That was a day after the demented president of the United States of America attacked one of the finest entrepreneurs in American history, the Edison of our time, Elon Musk, and said he should be investigated. He said he hasn't done anything wrong necessarily, but we're going to investigate him. Do you have any idea when we last heard that in the world? Yes, we heard it from none other than Nancy Pelosi, another fascist dictator. But Pelosi learned it from Joseph Stalin's Beria, who was his, well, if you look up who Beria was, he was the strongman of Stalin. They were both insane. Beria said, "Show me the man and I will show you the crime." Is that the country that you want to live in? A country where a president will say, "We should investigate Elon Musk. We don't know if he did anything wrong, but we should investigate him anyway because he won't bend his knee to us." Do you have any idea what kind of nation we're living in? How can you cheer this on unless you yourself are a fascist dictator in your heart? Welcome to the Michael Savage summary today, the Savage Rap, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. I made some notes before the show today of what were the main topics I wanted to cover. One, Biden threatens Netanyahu, meddles in foreign election openly and nakedly. Two, Biden threatens Musk. And then ask your audience, have we lost our democracy? Have we lost our democracy? Did we ever have one? Now let's see what notes I'm getting now. Picture and sound good, no breakup. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate that. That's the feedback that I'm getting. I know many people are complaining about what happened last week for a few minutes, which is why we shifted back to YouTube. But now we're going on a multiple app where we stream live on several platforms at once. It's a new system. It held up well for 15 minutes last time and then started to crack up. We'll see what happens today. But those are the headlines. Here are some others from michaelsavage.com. Biden administration sues the state of Texas over floating border barriers used to repel illegal aliens. Now, why would a president continue to flood America with aliens when we already know we can't take care of our own homeless bums? We have a welfare state that's bloated like a tick on a mule's behind. We have illegal aliens living in $400 a night hotel rooms. We have reports of illegal aliens living on the streets of many major cities, and mayors, even Mayor Adams of New York, begging the government to stop flooding America with any more. But Biden says no more, more, more. Crazy country, isn't it? Has it been this bad? I don't know, really. I know it was pretty bad during the era of the Vietnam War. We all lived through that. But those protests were organized by the communist left, not really a peace movement, but a communist movement. Note cards and shorter stares how Biden's campaign is addressing his age. Oh, really? No kidding. And Zelensky, our good friend, little Zelensky, the man with the guy with the dirty Fidel Castro outfit, demands that we full protective shield of anti-aircraft defense system. Not enough tank, not enough bullet, not enough howitzer. We want plane. We want air defense system. We want everything you have. More, 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 or else you're no good. That's our ally. You hear this? Well, I don't know where this goes. What about global warming? Many of you are fearful. I'm sorry, I should say climate crisis, climate change. Climate's been changing since God created the earth. A true Nobel Prize scientist, not someone in African American studies or Canadian studies or Icelandic water studies, but an actual Nobel Prize in the science of physics, something that Greta Thunberg never studied. So a Nobel Prize scientist declares there is no real climate crisis. He's immediately canceled for an International Monetary Fund climate talk. They cancel him. Truth doesn't matter. Science doesn't matter. All that matters is propaganda. That's what's going on under Joe Biden. He's the reason for it. Because if fish rots from, you see, and we have a rotten president whose brain is rotted out, and he's now, see, here's the thing about him. Let's say that all his life he was a centrist, which is the game he played. Fine. And then when he ran against Trump, he said he would unite the nation. We all heard that. We know it was a lie. Then all of a sudden, as the time progresses that he is in office, he goes increasingly to the far left. Then he goes to the outer realms of the far left. And then he becomes so far left that no one can recognize the Democrat Party anymore. They're proposing things that pervert everything American about America. Swedish court convicts Greta Thunberg for truck blocking protest. If ever there was a big nobody who amounted to a big nothing and was promoted to a big something by the big idiots in the media, it's Greta Thunberg. Video, Air Force head declares support for genders. You see this lunatic? This is all on michaelsavage.com. There's another one with all sorts of stars on his shoulders. Air Force Academy Superintendent Lieutenant General Richard Clark declared that he fully supports programs that are pushing gender ideology, not how to fly a jet in combat, not how to fight enemies, not how to use any of the great equipment that we have, but gender ideology. And he said he supports demi-gender people being admitted to the U.S. Air Force Academy. And then a senator asked him, what does demi-gender mean? He said, I don't know. He had no idea what it was. U.S. Air Force Academy superintendent can't define gender ideology, terms that they promote on campuses, but he's all there. That's right. Pinpointing one program supported by the Air Force Brooke Owens Fellowship, which is supposed to be for women. Congressman noted, you're literally pushing a program in the academies that says if you're a cisgender woman, a transgender woman, a non-binary, gender, agender, bigender, two-spirit, demigender. And he says, what's demigender? So the genius who runs the Air Force Academy says, sir, that's a term of the people that are eligible for that particular scholarship, that it's available person to. It's a person who looks at their gender in a different way than I do, sir. How's that for a genius at the head of the U.S. Air Force Academy? So let's say you have a child who's always wanted to be in the U.S. Air Force because they're patriotic and they have the aptitude to be a pilot. They have the brains and the guts to be a pilot. But unfortunately, they're the minority. They're a white Christian heterosexual male. They need not apply. Only cisgender, transgender, my gender, your gender, his gender, any gender, but a normal gender is now welcome in the U.S. Air Force Academy. You think they'll make better pilots because they're cisgender, transgender? Isn't that what the Air Force Academy is supposed to be for? To train the best and the brightest to be the best pilots we have? Well, that's what America used to be before it was taken over by the insane radical left. And now we move on to some of the other websites out there on the Savage Rap. I hope you're enjoying my short little programs every day. They'll be done, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday-ish, maybe not on Thursday, and then we'll come back on Friday for a wrap-up of the week. And we should keep them short. I think less than 15 minutes each is really all people want. I was told, notice I'm painting with a broad brush today. See, I took out my broad brush. I also brought a fine brush in case I want to do some fine brushing today. But I think I'm going to stick to some broad brushing. I was told that it's best to keep these appearances on social media under 10 minutes because the attention span of Americans today on social media is less than 10 minutes. Well, I didn't know what it was. And so we looked. And it turns out that the average person actually listens to shows on YouTube for about 4 minutes until they move on to the next picture of a cat defecating snowfield. That's the level of America today. Now, no, not you. You have a long attention span and you'd like me to hours, but I won't do it, can't do it, don't want to do it, don't have to do it, don't want to do it, won't do it. Let's move to another website. I know we should talk about Hunter Biden. I know we have to talk about the testimony of one of his ex-business partners who has not testified. I know that. I've seen all of the news, and I see that this is right out of The Godfather. And remember do you remember the Godfather uh, segment where Frankie Pantangeli comes in before Congress and he's supposed to testify? And they have his written testimony, and he's going to nail Michael Corleone to the cross. Remember that? Well, imagine Devon Archer, who was supposed to testify, and he's delayed it 3 times now. They have his sworn testimony against Hunter Biden, claiming everything that you've been reading about in the New York Post by Miranda Devine and others is all true. But he keeps canceling. So one of my Twitter followers, a person named Zenden, says, reminds me, Michael, of The Godfather once again, when Frankie Pantangeli was set to testify, and he gets up there and they're all waiting for it. And he says, I don't know any Godfather. I got my own family. Then there's a huge, then these FBI guys, they kept telling me Michael Corleone did this, Michael Corleone did that. So I said, sure, why not? That's what it reminds him of. So Devon Archer, who's supposed to testify, now he's facing a prison sentence, says he's getting death threats. I kind of suspect that's true. Let's get that train rolling on the Savage wrap-up of the week. Let's go to another story here, not get caught on any one of them. So there was a vote in Spain where the real Spaniards stood up to the surge of illegal aliens coming in mainly from Africa, raping their women, beating people up in the streets, not really working, just living on welfare in Spain. And they remembered the good old days when Franco ran the country, when it was still a country called Spain with its own real borders, real language, and real culture. Oh, I know he was a dictator. Everyone who does anything that's nationalistic is a dictator to the communist left. So all of a sudden, there's a right-wing surge in Spain in the elections, and they're supposed to win and take control. And guess what happened late at night? Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, a socialist, engineered during the final days of the special election campaign, and so win. Oh, look, I wrote another late-night socialist surge. So I asked, who owns those in Spain? Well, do a little research. You will find out that many of the voting machine companies that we are looking at here in America, one of the major ones is headquartered in Spain. So, ladies and gentlemen, because we've lost our democracy, I don't know if we'll ever get it back. Meanwhile, I know that everything is an existential threat to them. I don't think that they use voting machines that are provided by Spanish socialists or American socialists, communists, you name it. And so there was a vote that was a shock to the illegitimate left in Israel and around the world. And the vote was to limit left-wing judges. Many of you could not figure out what was going on in Israel, but I was following this. And it happened that Netanyahu, Biden, who again got up and attacked them, Biden actually attacked our ally Israel and said, don't go ahead with that vote. I'm telling you, don't go ahead with that vote. That vote. George Soros say that, but he may as well have. George Soros told me, because his son, Soros' little, he look like a rat, Soros' son, like a scurrying rat that goes in and out of the White House. In and out of the White House goes Soros' son with tons of money, I guess. And he comes out, and all of a sudden, the mouthpiece, Biden, says to Netanyahu quite publicly, don't hold that vote. Well, Netanyahu's under so much pressure, and he had a pacemaker put in his heart, but he went ahead with the vote. Not him, their Knesset with the vote. And guess what? Israel's parliament, or Knesset, passed the first of several judicial reforms proposed by Prime Minister Benny Netanyahu. So what is this about? Well, we're all told that Netanyahu is a fascist. Nothing can be further from the truth. He's a war hero who loves Israel. And he doesn't want to knuckle under to George Soros and the International Monetary Fund. So what you have in Israel is very similar to what we have here, but even worse. They had a Supreme Court that was running the country without any checks and balances. They, in essence, were like the biblical Sanhedrin, and they were determining the outcome of everything that went on in Israel. It went up to these these judges, basically. I don't want to put any words into your mouth or head. The judges on the Supreme Court in Israel had the ultimate authority to decide ever, no checks and balances. So they hated conservatives. They hated Netanyahu in particular, and they organized protests with American and foreign money. And they said, we don't want this so-called reform because we have total control now. Why would we give it up? Well, they lost all of these judges. They did. So Israel votes to limit left-wing judges. That's actually what happened there. This is the savage wrap for you. We're wrapping it up right now. I read it earlier in the day. Biden threatens Netanyahu. He has become a totally mad dictator, not a peep from American Jewish leaders. And that's because most American Jewish leaders are not leaders at all. They're nothing but paid operatives of the far left in the form of George Soros, who funds most of them, and others like George Soros. People even worse than George Soros control the American Jewish community, except for, I'm giving you my opinion, except for the ultra-Orthodox in this country who are conservative and love the rights. They love borders, language, culture. They love family. They love religion. They love and they love God. Anathema to the left, not only in Israel, but around the world. Well, that's the wrap for today. On wrap it up, there's nothing else for me that I really want to say. If you've enjoyed today's program, with God's will and your listenership, I shall return. Now, what can you do to help this savage rap if you like it? I'm not looking for money. I'm looking for audience reaction. And that means when you go on, you can see this on YouTube, you can see it live on Twitter. You go on to these sites and you do it is. I don't even know how it works. I got to get an 11-year-old assistant to figure it all out. But I do appreciate that we're on all these platforms all at once. I thank you for being here, and I've painted with a broad brush. Thanks for listening. With God's will and your listenership, I shall return.